let me know once it's actually recorded.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
There we go. Jeez.
So
Just-
go ahead and begin. Jane, are you gonna take minutes? Well, if you can.
Yes, I am.
So let's open up this hearing. It's November 3rd, and it is currently 6:04 PM. Do we have to do a roll call or anything like that? Because of time?
We have to take our votes by roll call. We don't need to take attendance unless you think that's helpful.
I mean.
Some boards have been doing that.
If you're writing minutes, you can just put who's in attendance, on the board, but.
You know who's there, right?
Yeah, so we got Janice on the phone, Jane remote, the three of us are here. Mark is not in attendance, and I believe that's it. And then the two alternates are not here.
Yeah. All right, so let's call to order. We're not going to approve minutes right now, but we're just going to jump into the hearing, correct?
Yeah, I think it'd be better to wait. Jane did some more drafts. I forgot to email them out with all the drama with the town hall well. So I think those can wait till the next meeting.
Okay.
That way we can actually look them over.
So we're here to consider the creation of 2 new districts. Notice is hereby given under Mass General Law, Chapter 40C, historic districts of the proposed creation of 2 new historic districts within the town of Mendon. The Washington Street Historic District, numbers 4 through 31 Washington Street, and the Jotham Hayward Homestead District, 6 Bate Street. So yeah, we're basically going to open up discussion. Anybody's welcome to chime in if they have questions, but for the most part, we're looking to, a lot of you have been here before, we've kind of gone over this, but we're just looking to expand the district down Washington Street a ways, and then also that one property on 6 Bate Street, much like how Jane has, what the one property over there on Millville.
It might be worth noting, so at the last hearing, we discussed, and I did not update the full report, but we would remove 30 Washington Street because it doesn't really have frontage on Washington. It really did not make sense to include it.
And I think we had all voted to remove it as well.
Right. So that's the one change from the
That's right.
report. That'll be in the plans, but
Okay. So 4 through 31, less 30.
right.
All right. So,
4 being the first, and to be clear, 4 is the first street house on Washington.
Yes.
The 2 houses before that have frontage on Hastings and are already in the district.
Yep.
At least one of them is.
so that being said, does anybody have any questions? I know, like I said, we've kind of talked about this quite a bit. Any questions? Yep. I'm just waiting, so just raise your hand.
So John Nenot, I'm here representing 18 Washington Street and 20 Washington Street. I've talked to the board before. You guys already know that I kind of don't agree with the whole district because 11 out of the 22 properties, even in your report, really you had nothing you could say historically about them. You have pictures, but no historic significance about them. But besides that I'm not even going to go there. But what I do have a problem with is because I deal with bylaws all the time and zoning bylaws, and the Mendon zoning bylaws have a lot of contradictions in them. And just reading through your bylaw, I have a definite problem, like you say, exclusions, color of paint, color of materials on wood. But then when in the design guidelines, when you talk about that stuff, every place where it says you guys have jurisdiction, it includes color in the word. So you're contradicting yourself. For instance, roofs, the repair of, the repair and replacement of a roof, the same or similar materials excluded, provided there is no change to design, material, color, or outward appearance. But over here it says the color materials used on a roof is excluded. So why do you include color in the design guidelines that it is covered, but then you say it's excluded in another place? You do the same
Where's
thing
that?
on color of paints. And then after in the bylaw, you put excluded colors. But why include it in all the wording of all the different sections that if you change the color, you have purview over it, but then it's excluded in another section? It just contradicts each other.
I mean, I think that's a good point. I thought I tried in the design guidelines to specify, like under roofs, it says the color is excluded. So is it not clear? Because that's probably something we should look at. It should be clear in our design guidelines that the things that are excluded are excluded.
No, because it says the repair or replacement of roof, the same or similar materials is excluded, but then it says, provided there is no change to design, material, color, or outward appearance. So you're saying that it does matter the color, but in the other section, you're saying.
Hang on, are you looking at the bylaw or the design
I'm
guidelines?
in
Because maybe I'm confused.
I'm in all this,
Design guideline.
I'm in the design.
Okay, let me flip to that.
I just
Yeah.
think it should be squared away before it gets.
Well, that's a separate thing, but I think that's a good,
Yeah, so that was another question
Issue.
I had. So like, I'm looking at the bylaw itself, and I just think it should be fixed before
Yeah.
it gets, because it's hard when it says it in one place, one thing in one place, and then it specifically says it's excluded in another place, but it's included in other places. So then, as you're going through the bylaw, for somebody like myself who has to design stuff, it just causes confusion.
Right.
That was one question.
I thought it doesn't say anything here, like in roofs, it doesn't, the only thing it says about the repair or replacement of a roof with the same or similar materials is excluded, provided there's, no change. So is that in the bylaw or is that a typo? I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? It says it in multiple places,
Hang
not
on.
just there.
Yeah, so is that in the,
So even in the general design guidelines, it says,
the color of material provided? Oh, because it's in this, in the exclusions, 9.3. Nothing in this bylaw shall be construed to prevent the ordinary maintenance, repair, or replacement within a district does not involve a change in the design material, color, or thereof.
there it is again, color.
This is saying though, nothing, this is excluding color. Which does
No.
not involve, so that's in the bylaw. That's the
That-
problem. So that needs to get amended. I think that's a good, unfortunately, that needs to go to town meeting in the spring. That's a good point, because this whole bylaw, I think, was taken. All right, so we should look at
It's
that.
just something
Yeah.
that, reading it for somebody that does designs, anytime there's a contradiction like that, it just causes problems later on. Causes problems for not only me, but for you guys too.
I think we're definitely happy to go over
Just
that.
want
I
the
feel
color
like,
paint.
in the grand scheme of things, I hear what you're saying, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty minuscule. And I feel like while I understand the contradiction, we're not gonna,
Well,
because we're saying right off the bat that, we're excluding color. So I do see what you're saying, but I also think in the grand scheme of things,
why would you put a contradiction like that on the books?
well,
Well, unfortunately, it was already done. And
Yeah.
it didn't get caught.
it just didn't get caught.
So we should fix that. But
It's just a quick edit, really.
I think,
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking to edit it, to fix it.
right, so I don't think we can do that now, but I think that we definitely
Right,
need to
we're
go
not
through
here
that.
We're here more or less to talk about the expansion of the district.
So all right, so that was my other
Okay.
question. I didn't know if this is just the expansion of the district, so the bylaw itself.
So there's the bylaw and the design. So we did the design guidelines. Those were updated. So if you have the red line one, and a bunch of that stuff was changed in terms of the solar
Yeah.
for sure.
When did you print that? Was that
I just
today?
printed it
Oh, okay,
an hour ago, so
okay.
But is that the final or is that still the draft from
as
before?
voted on 5, I don't know, you tell me.
So at the last hearing, we finalized these.
So
so
this
I
was
can-
what was online on the website. I just printed them out an hour ago to look.
Right, but there should be the final ones too. I think that was the draft, so I don't know why that's even still published. That was for the last, let me look, design guidelines. This should come up with this new document that's got a date of September 16th.
So
But I think for the most part, we
is-
kept everything and then pulled out all the solar got changed big time after we got
There
some
was some
feedback.
clarification in other
me
areas
just
too that were kind of
Make
confusing
sure
or
you have this.
ambiguous.
I mean, I can print it if you
Yeah,
want.
so I just think, stuff like that should get fixed prior to it really.
Well, like Dan said, we did go through
Yeah, so maybe this isn't, and
So
I don't know if
that's
this
why I
is the
guess I'm
newest
not
copy.
sure if,
So does the bylaw include this design guideline as part of the
No, so the-
expansion,
the
or is it
bylaw-
separate?
The bylaw was first. The bylaw authorizes us to make design guidelines that kind of explain the bylaw.
Okay,
And then we then can create districts. So this is a new district that would fall under the same rules as the existing center of town district.
okay,
Or you could have, I mean, you could have separate bylaws, separate districts, which some towns do. We're all under one.
yeah, so,
So those are kind of like our subdivision rules and regulations, if you will. Just
all
for-
right, so are these getting changed, or these are already in place and not getting changed?
Those were changed at the 916 hearing. There were two hearings, one for the design and one for the.
So I think I went to that one, right?
Right.
That was the design guy, I didn't see that.
I don't know, we talked to you before.
I don't
About
think you
design
did.
guidelines.
I know we had a big talk because a lot of the stuff in there, I think
It was in the library,
Yeah.
whichever meeting that was.
But that.
we had a
so
hearing.
Beyond that,
After that.
we had gone
You had-
through and kind of, and I think Lonnie was here with us and we kind of worked out some stuff.
Right.
And then,
Yeah,
So I
so-
can send you that.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was my concern
Okay.
there. And then, so this got voted through already.
Right. But that's something the commission can change. We just have to
Oh, you
hold on
guys
here.
can change that.
So
Okay.
it sounds like,
So that was my biggest
And I know
question.
Jane found some things
I was just
too.
reading through it, and it just causes problems for,
Yeah, no, I think we
Someone that
definitely
needed-
all kind of recognized that
kind
there
of
was
is-
some.
yeah,
I
any
think-
kind of
language.
contradiction like that
yeah,
is
what
hard
you
for us.
identified though, I think in May, we need to propose another amendment to the bylaw. That's a bylaw problem. But we should absolutely do that and clean that up because you're
Okay.
right. That's a problem.
It's more than there too. If you start reading through it, there's like 4 spots that.
I think it's because we copied that same clause.
Yeah.
thinking we were
I know
helpful
what- I know exactly.
and made it
That's what
worse.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
Even in zoning bylaws, they copy it from other town and then it contradicts, they'll use multiple towns and then one contradicts the other. And it just makes things difficult for everybody going
Yeah.
forward. So if you have a nice clean bylaw, it's straightforward, you can read it, you understand what it means. But for somebody reading it and it says color's excluded and the next paragraph it says, no, color's not excluded, it's just tough.
confusing.
That was really my only question today.
Okay, yeah, so we should, the intent is that color, I think is pretty much, well, color of paint and roofs is excluded, but I don't really think it's the intention of this commission to regulate color at all, so that's probably something we should clarify.
I think too, by the way, that these are guidelines.
Yeah.
Which means
They're not
they're
mandates.
that's what the guidelines mean.
I understand that, Jane, right? But like, that's what if I was gonna design something, that's what I use. I use
Right,
your
you're gonna
design
follow the
guidelines. I'm gonna follow that, and then I'm gonna read it and go, well, it says exclude color, but does it really exclude color? Because here it says it doesn't exclude color. So it just makes it difficult when you're trying to follow a guideline or a bylaw if they contradict each other.
I think the reason why that's there is, generally when you're trying.
I understand you don't want them to paint it purple or.
Right.
I-
But here's the thing, and if you did decide to paint your roof purple, I mean, we really couldn't do much about it, but we're saying to, try and follow some sort of set of guidelines, which basically
And-
says,
and
if someone had a
I-
slate roof, like, let's see if we can.
And you put in there, I know you put in there, you can come to the commission and ask them for recommendations on color. But it's just that contradiction. It's easier just to remove where it says color in the thing and then nobody has to worry
For
about it.
sure.
Or you could put, or you could change the exclusion of color and make it color that's representative in the zones already or something. I don't know. It
I
just-
feel like we're always happy to hear feedback and, that's why we had
Yeah,
those couple
I'm
meetings
not,
on the
that's,
guidelines.
I just reading through the bylaw
Yeah.
and that's what I saw. So that's what stuck out on me, that it says exclude color, a color of roof, and then in the next couple paragraphs it says, oh, that's part of the jurisdiction is color. So it either is or it isn't.
Right.
That's, all right, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, because I think this entire bylaw was a template from the state that they then modified.
Yeah.
So they probably added this specific exclusion of color of paint and didn't realize that it was called out
Yeah.
in another section.
That's all right.
But I think that's good
It's an
feedback.
easy
Um,
to make. Does anybody have any questions about the proposed new area of the district? We all good on that?
Just look at the map one more time and see. I mean, it might be worth,
Yeah, Dan, if you could send me the news.
Yes, I was gonna send you that thing. I mean, I think the other thing that was, was the just new construction, just to review.
Yeah, and I think.
You know, we
I had
kind of-
brought some plans in, and even Gene said, yeah, that's what we're kind of looking for and stuff, just so.
Yeah, and that's what's in here now, is it says basically, the idea is that you're not designed in a manner that's compatible and sympathetic to the character of the district.
You want to see
I
it?
think it says specifically, they're not supposed to be, they should not seek to replicate, but should reference in their design. They should fit positively. So it's really not regulating new at all. It's just saying it should kind of fit in the character.
Right. Are there, so there's no more questions?
I don't know if you all, I don't remember what we discussed at the Historic Commission. Was there anything that came up?
No.
If we wanted
I'll
to,
make a motion then that we expand the historic district. The creation of 2 new historic districts within the town of Mendon, the Washington Street Historic District, 4 to 31 Washington Street, and the Jonathan Haywood Homestead District, Bate Street.
Second.
She said. Jane seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
so we do need to take a roll call vote.
Oh,
Ruth,
yes.
aye.
Dan, I.
Deborah, I.
Jane,
Jane,
aye.
And then, other than that, Dan, do we have any applications or
Sorry, I'm typing it.
or anything?
There are no projects proposed that have come through. Let me just double check, but I haven't seen anything, so seems like there's been a gap. Hasn't been much. I'm trying to think if there's anything I know of that's coming.
Nothing going on, not since we last spoke about the house on Main.
No, nothing there. And maybe at our next meeting, we might have an opportunity to ask somebody if they know anything about it. Maybe we can do that and say, because again, I think anything we can do to help
Okay.
and see that preserved would be awesome.
Great.
Otherwise, I don't think I have anything else. Well, we should talk about meeting date.
Sure. Are we gonna stick, where were we at before, like the third?
We were doing the third Monday at 6, and commission was at 7. And then the select board was going to go to Mondays, but now that's not happening.
What did we say at our last meeting, though? Did we pick a date beyond the town meeting?
I thought the next date I have is December 19th, because I think we were going to,
Okay, is that what we had said?
I think commission, are we going to meet on the 21st? I don't know. Is commission going to meet again on the 21st of November? Does that sound right?
I think that's the date. Hold on.
I mean, I don't know. There's no point in, there's not too much going on unless there's projects that come up.
Excuse me, is the hearing over? The hearing over?
Yes,
The hearing is closed.
It's closed at
6.
6:22.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to watch the recording. Sorry. Poor Jane.
Next meeting is
That's
21st.
okay.
So I don't know if we need to meet on the 21st, if we want to have it as a save the date, if something comes up,
On December 21st?
November
Oh,
21st.
November.
And then December 19th. If that date seems to work.
I'm fine with November. I don't have my phone.
21st, I get
The commission's going to have a hearing in December,
To
so
see if I have something in.
I don't know, is that good for you, Janice?
Yeah, yes.
I'm fine with the 21st. Want to do 6? Can we do 6 here? Or is there?
Yeah, we should be fine on that, as long as it's that third Monday is always good.
Okay.
And we always have the library as a
So
backup.
we'll do the 21st at 6 PM, November 21st, 6 PM for our next meeting, and then, and I guess,
Be December 19th, but If we want to wait
Yeah,
and
I
see.
guess like December, I'm
Yeah,
questioning whether or not anybody's really going to be available and if there's really anything important in December, but I also know that you have to kind of,
Well, can we just pencil it in and just?
yeah, let's
Yeah.
pencil in the 19th then at 6 PM,
I mean, I think
19th of December.
if a project comes through, we have to have a hearing, but if
Yeah.
not, we don't have much. I mean, I think we probably should start thinking about, if the intent is to do something at North Ave, or somebody else suggested George Street might be another area to explore.
I would prefer to do North Avenue before George.
Okay.
It might be the next project, but
Well,
mean,
North
I-
Ave makes more sense, I think, since it's, I don't know.
yeah.
There are a lot of historic homes on North Ave.
I mean, I think what we did worked. I think if people could divide up and do the research, and then we can compile it and go from there.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I do think that one is going to be a big push. So see how this goes.
Well, let's get through the meeting.
We should also, I was thinking this today, at town meeting,
Mhm,
when we present this article,
mhm.
at some point, we need to somehow make the comment that we need more members on this commission. Because I think we need to replace JP. We should have a chat with Mark if he's able to continue being involved. I know he's
I'm
pretty busy with the
assuming
zoo.
he's been here in 2 years.
And then maybe that, ideally, if there's somebody on the Washington Street that would be interested, that would be wonderful.
Right.
I know Brendan, I could bug him again. Brendan seemed interested, but
I don't think he can do that.
yes, he can.
He can, if he's elected, he can be appointed to a, I
Yep.
thought that the law said that if you are
Just-
elected,
Just those two positions, ZBA, planning, and Concom.
oh, okay.
And no employee can be appointed to a paid position, or no elected official can be appointed to a paid position. This is an unpaid.
We don't want
Um,
to stir up anything.
But I think even as an alternate, just, people with more voices.
I asked my niece up here, but she said she'd like to eventually, but.
Yeah.
she's got a
Yeah.
lot on her plate.
I mean, even like Lonnie would be, if we could get him, especially if we do North Ave. I mean, he had a ton of insight,
Yeah.
wrote him into more stuff, but just somebody, more, I think more voices is always good to have.
And then,
Well, maybe it's something that the selectmen should put out at their meeting, that we're looking for it and looking for meeting.
Yeah, I know they've got a vacancy, I think, on FinCom that just came up, so maybe I could say, push all these opens, because I think there's a bunch.
FinCom has a vacancy.
Yeah,
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
commission, I mean, he's on the call.
Yeah, I'm here, fly on the wall.
Yeah,
we-
we want you on our board, so you're,
If you-
if you're interested.
I can email that other lady, what was her name, Stacy Oliva, and see, we could talk her into it too, because she seemed like she had a background
Where does
like,
she live?
on Washington.
Oh,
She's down the other end. What day is this? This is horrible. What day is the town?
town meeting?
Monday, the 14th.
All right, Monday, oh, there it is.
I don't know if they're even in the proposed new district.
So I guess when we go to town meeting and we talk about this, do you anticipate, what should we anticipate?
Well, so I think, there's two articles. Let me look at the warrant, just make sure I'm saying the right things. So the article to add the edit for the play structures, there should, unless somebody gets there should be no discussion. It should be very simple. We're just proposing a simple amendment to add this as an exclusion because we felt it didn't need to be regulated.
Okay.
Well, I think that, the question that Mr. Nenart brought up is going to come up, which is why are there houses that are not historic in this district? So I think somebody that could talk to the reasoning behind doing the whole area why we stopped at 31, et cetera. That might be something just to be prepared for that discussion.
Well,
We
I
probably,
think that a lot of those homes, I understand, so what defines historic?
just by
because-
age.
But how, out of those houses, what is the percentage?
Look at it, I'm gonna find the list. I mean, I think somebody's gonna ask the question, why is 28 Washington Street that's 1920s or
Because we don't want the Swiss cheese thing going.
22 Washington Street that's 2018? I mean, my understanding is that the intent was to go to 31, that was kind of the last remaining historic home, and encompass that district that were all part of the farms. And then from that point forward, those are all new houses.
Yeah.
I don't know, really, I'm not looking at
And then
it.
Roberts, Washington Street. I just wanted to say, we also should be looking at precedent. The center district was exactly the same. We have no issues with that, and at some point, some of these houses could well be historic. That's the whole purpose of doing this, is to protect what's there and what's coming. So I think, if we have people that are going to start saying, as we've already heard, like tonight, 11 out of so many houses, they're not historic. But at some point they may be, or they meet the criteria that is currently in place that could change at some point. You can't do each individual home. And that's the whole point of having a district. So,
Well, I think all but one of them, the 2018 house, maybe not, but all the others, 1920s, you're right.
yeah.
Maybe not now, but in 50 years, that house may have something to contribute.
Then tomorrow we could dig something up. that finds something.
1920s is 100 years ago.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
so
that's-
a cute, yeah. But like a cute little
A
19,
lot of those post-World War II homes
yeah.
are historic.
I agree
Right.
with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think what we've got to do is just make sure that, we already know that there's going to be complaints coming
Right.
at us. We just have to make sure we've got answers for everything that comes up. And
So
we do, we're not doing this for no reason.
Right.
This is a justification, so.
Does the state have anything to say about that? I know that at least on zoning maps, spot zoning is specifically prohibited.
Right,
Like,
the Massachusetts Historical Commission does not like what they call the Swiss cheese way of doing things. You can take one house like 6-8 and combine it with a district that's already, that's being established. They don't want you to go through and just pick up a specific home. I think it's too much work,
that makes sense.
actually.
So I'm just looking at the original study report for the Mendon Center District, and it's pretty much the same. So like Hastings Street, they're all old, and there's like one house here that's like 1970. Then on Elm Street, there's one house, 1970, 1980, everything else is, so it's the same approach that the vast majority.
So I guess, so the vast majority,
Are
I'm just anticipating.
Very meet the
So
qualification, like, so the argument that, I mean, I could,
houses
give you
say
exact numbers.
1940 and, going back. How many do we have that's,
let me,
yeah, I'm
Give
just
you those
looking for
numbers.
percentages because I know that people are
Right.
gonna come,
it would be nice to write up just a quick paragraph
Plucking
so we
at
can
me.
read it.
yeah,
That's what I've done.
Maybe we should all meet together.
yeah.
Get our
Just gotta
heads
be
together,
posted meeting.
So that
Not 10.
at the meeting, we're all on the same page.
I agree.
10 out of all
And have something written and somebody.
I mean, when you look, let me look at Washington here. So when you look at the proposed Washington Street district, if you use 1950 as the cutoff, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 properties out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 5 out of 20 are younger than 1950. And I'm not going to go through it now, but I believe the Mendon Center District and all that is basically the same idea. It's overwhelmingly a historic district.
One of the things we've got to do is find out what is being said for giving reasoning against the district. I mean, we've had this, well, you're not going to tell me what colour to paint my house. We've addressed that and it's not being done. What is the actual objection here? And we know the objection has got to be taking down some of those old houses. So we've got to do whatever we can to protect them.
I mean, I think in the conversations I had, especially related to the demo delay stuff, I think the biggest objection I've heard is people don't want to be told what to do with their property. It's their property. The town shouldn't be involved. And I guess,
And we went round and spoke to all of the people that lived at those houses. We didn't have anybody there from the houses that, I mean, I think we covered pretty much every house.
But to Jane's point, it's a general set of guidelines. So we're not going in and mandating and
No.
telling people what they should
Not
and
at all.
shouldn't do. We're here to say, this is a district. We have a set of guidelines to, help assist you if you do any sort of exterior renovations that are visible. Exactly.
So Kathy Schofield, 135 Blackstone Street. I would also keep in mind that not only are you protecting the homes, but you are protecting the scenic vista, the stone walls, that you're capturing, this fun, rural look of that neighborhood.
But so I 100% agree with you, and
Yeah.
that's what my instinct is to fall back on that point. But I know everybody's gonna say,
Yeah.
it has nothing, we don't have any jurisdiction over, the stone walls and the
But we
trees.
do, because we have the scenic road and that's a scenic road too.
So I get that, so it's already a scenic road, so I'm assuming they're gonna say, well, it's already a scenic road, so, you're protected there, why do we need to become a district? So I'm just playing devil's advocate, right, so.
Yeah.
And I just
that's
don't-
what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of
Yeah.
people asking questions like that. I think yes, you're
I
right.
covered it in the
We're
text.
Because we
actually
want
protecting this, but we're protecting those homes.
Exactly, we want the architecture to fall in line with
Yeah.
this.
Well,
historic
and
scenic
the
street.
people who live in those homes are important. And I think that the reason that we got a demolition delay bylaw to begin with was because of the fact that people were stunned when that came down. So I think you can say, that's not the only one that's gonna come down. That's not the only one that could be destroyed.
So as for the demo,
You
as for
pointed out some of the houses that have been destroyed. I'm sorry, Deb. Go ahead.
that's okay, but in respect to the demolition delay bylaw, we're talking about the district, so the demolition delay bylaw is falling on the commission. So
Right.
again, I don't know that we,
I would not,
Have
I
that
mean, this
argument.
bylaw is not about demolition. I mean,
No.
I understand.
we can really strongly oppose it,
okay,
but I don't think the historic district could say prohibit a demolition just because we don't want demolition. We could certainly require the new building
Mhm.
to basically, essentially be a replica of what was demolished. I think that's different than straight up new construction.
right.
But I think they're, different powers.
Then
But I
maybe
think-
I misconstrued the law because I made my house an historic district of one house, so it could not be torn down.
I think if we told somebody they can't demolish and that was our only reasoning,
Oh,
I
no,
think
no,
we
not
would
our.
probably lose in court.
Right.
But I
right,
think the purpose of the district too is to prevent it from getting to that point where
Right,
we have these houses that have just been left to be abandoned, that haven't been maintained, that have been replaced with, garbage materials and, steel buildings and whatnot, and siding. And,
There's at
Hmm.
least 5 farmland right from my house down. We're trying to preserve the historic idea of Mendon with the farms.
I mean, I completely
Yeah.
agree. I'm just saying, I'm playing devil's advocate, and I know they're gonna be like, well, you have no jurisdiction over whether or not something stays farmland or whatever, but,
I would not, based on the discussions we've had, I'd be very careful mentioning demo in the context of this discussion.
yeah, I don't even
Certain
wanna
people would
use the
choke.
okay,
word.
I would not do that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
No,
very upset when that house came down. And it would have been harder had it been in the district.
But I think what you just said makes perfect sense. It's about maintaining the idea of Mendon. That's the intent here. You know, you can build your new houses, whatever they want to build, you know, that wasn't our issue, but they're going to look and fit within that district. They're not going to be, you know, block buildings and God knows what. So.
I was here earlier this week, and you were talking about that big NEOM project that's going on right behind that district, right? Or is it included in that district?
So.
It seems like as if I'm hearing contradictory.
That's a different board.
They already have taken down, they want to take down the
Right.
house as part of that application.
If they get their way, if their application is approved that would allow them to do everything on 20 Washington Street, then the entirety of 20 Washington Street is part of the proposed new district, or 18 Washington. If they were to go a different direction and do a subdivision that are all new lots off a subdivision, we would only have authority over the properties that have frontage on Washington. But again, I think, and Jack Hunter brought this up, the historic district is not about stopping development.
No.
That's not, unfortunately, you know, that's really not what this is about at all. It's about ensuring that any new development is done in a manner that's in keeping with the district. That's all we can do.
Okay, so that's all about wordage, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got on 3 buildable lots, maybe it's 4, I don't know, but 3 buildable lots, they're gonna put 27 houses.
Right.
That have 2 roads that come out onto Washington Street, right smack in the middle of your historic district.
And I don't think the Historic District Commission can say anything about that other than what those houses will look like. I think that's the only thing we have jurisdiction over.
But they'd be taking down historic homes to make.
Or alternate.
Right, and that's they would have to request a certificate to demolish that house, and that would be, I think, a pretty big discussion.
And from what we're talking about there, that was, you know, one of the original questions that came up.
Yeah.
Was, well, wait a minute, they're going to take down a historic home to put this big development in the back. Now, if you actually look at their design that they have, they're talking about actually making the historic home one of the units.
Oh, yeah, no, they've already sold off that house and they've already.
Well, he's bought the house. It's part of the.
He's bought, well, there's someone living in there.
The renters,
Right.
yeah.
Oh, okay, Brent, I apologize.
But I think,
So that there just seems to be a lot of conflict that isn't being resolved.
There really isn't too much. What's happening is more than conflict. It's misinformation and misunderstanding.
Okay.
You know, as soon as we started talking about the historic district and the historic district commission drew up the plans, everyone was kind of, oh, this is just a plan to stop giving me. No, it's not. This is a plan to protect Mendon and preserve.
No,
what
I
we
don't
have.
need to stop or start. It's nothing to do with it.
Right.
However, what you're saying here is, in my opinion, conflicting with what was said earlier this week at the meeting that they wanted to get the variance of the planning board. The planning board meeting.
each board, I mean, I guess just to circle back, so I think the benefit of the district is that I think we've had some discussions with the applicant, and it sounds like they are going to attempt to preserve that historic home
Right.
as part of their development, which would be, you know, is probably all we can ask for. I mean, I think all those issues are issues, but they're not, the district can't stop them or change them or regulate them.
The difference is if we don't have a historic district there, then we lose an element of control of what can go in there. Not just that development,
Right.
but there is other farmland out there.
Right,
You know, there's other properties with a lot of land that somebody's going to come along and say, oh, well, this happened before. Oh, I think I'll keep this, and we'll build a nice little house there and everything. The second it goes through, we decide to put a house in the
Well,
So,
see, a lot of those houses have wells, right? And
they all do.
it's believed that the water comes right into that site. Okay, so that's an issue that hasn't been.
That's been addressed actually at the Board of Health meeting, I think.
Well, it will be. I mean, all that stuff,
The wetlands and everything was done at Concom, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, I guess maybe we're off top. We probably got to get ready for the next meeting. I think it's important for abutters to go to all those meetings and raise those questions with the various authorities and make sure that the questions are asked.
I just want to say that I understand the level of confusion from all of the boards weighing in, chiming in. This project is really, picking up momentum and, are we really, are we as a community ready to make all those decisions? I think it is clear that we're not, things are just, we need to, advocate that we slow down a little bit and figure it out.
And have one large meeting where everybody can go and everyone can discuss it and all the different boards are there that they can discuss it, because it's not happening that way.
Well, it just seems from listening, and I'm late to the party, I'm just learning about it. I live at 7, so that is one of the old houses. It just seems as though the planning board, which I went to that meeting, they had this timeline, and then you go to the
ZBA, and they have a different time.
a different timeline, but their timeline doesn't take into effect what these people are.
Do we want,
So
we might want to adjourn the district meeting if we're good, and then they can have this chat offline. So I think, are we all, I think we're going to join the district meeting, and then that way you guys can chat.
So we'll end this, we'll adjourn at 6:45 PM.
Oh, Brendan, hang on. Brendan, what did he say? Oh, I need to say, yeah. All right, so all in
Have a good
favor?
one, guys.
Aye.
Aye.
Um,